Hey guys, it's Justin again with another quick tutorial. This is going to be a tutorial for my friend Dallas, but I figured a lot of people could benefit from it, I guess. He asked me to do a quick tutorial on how to panel line kits, and it's a really easy, simple thing to do. There's a couple different ways you can go about doing it. I'm going to try and touch on a couple of those here. But it's a really easy process, and it really helps bring the detail in your kits out. So here's an old RX-78 30th anniversary high grade that I did. He is panel lined, but it's very poorly done. This is one of the first kits I built a long time ago. I'm going to go ahead and redo some of the stuff on him so you can see that. But you know, basically panel lining is when you take and you fill in the recessed details around the kit, these little lines and dots and things like that, all the way around the kit, and you fill them with paint that is a darker color or a different color than the other pieces, and it kind of creates some contrast, and it really makes that recessed detail pop out and look better to the eye. So the main ways you can do this are using markers. They have markers specially made for this kind of thing. Gundam Markers. These are the fine tip versions, so you can see there's a really fine point on that. These are also, I hear there are these micron art pens, what do they call it, Copic markers. I think they work well, I've heard. But the marker thing pretty much is self-explanatory, so we're going to go over that one first, and then next we're going to go over washes. And there's two types of washes. There's acrylic washes, which I don't have a lot of experience with, and then there's enamel washes, which I'm a lot more familiar with. So give me a second to clear some of this junk off the desk, and we will talk about what different types of panel lining you can do. Okay, so first we're going to use the markers. The Gundam markers themselves come in 3 different colors, unless you go out and get the Real Touch set. But the 3 regular colors are black, gray, and brown, and these can be used in a variety of different ways. But typically you can use black on anything, but black is typically used for gray parts and darker colored parts, so like your blue, basically anything darker than these. And I don't think you would want to use brown on like blue. I don't think that would look very good. Gray is used on lighter colored parts, so like the whites and really light grays, you would use the white or the gray marker. And then browns are used for yellows and reds. But again, you can use these in different areas for different effects. So if you wanted to create like a rust effect, I guess you could just go ahead and pop some of the brown marker on here. And this is literally as simple as putting the pen in the panel line and tracing it. And if you make a mistake, you can draw over here, draw over this thing, it wipes away, no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw a couple lines on this with different colors, so you can see. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to put gray in, just so you can see that, and put some over here too. I'm going to put a little bit more brown here. I'm going to use the brown in the middle of the shield. And the black, like I said, can go over literally anything. Most people don't like to use the black because it's really intense. I like black over my panel lines more often than not. So sometimes I'll panel line my entire kits with just black because I like the way it looks. But it really depends on the effect you're trying to go for. Now, to clean this up, there's a lot of different things you can do. The easiest is just to wipe it away with your finger. Alternatively, you can use a Q-tip, and you just kind of get in there, and it cleans it up really nicely. There you go, so you can actually see what I'm doing now. But yeah, it's as simple as just wiping the excess away. Another thing you can do is you can take a piece of paper towel, anything like that. You can put a little bit of water on it. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Just dampen it. And it takes it right off. Just the same, a little bit easier. I'll zoom out just a little bit. There we go. So, there's that. Or you can use, where'd it go? Some rubbing alcohol. Again, same thing. Just a little bit. And it wipes all of that excess away. And if you put more on, it will remove more, but if you just dampen it just a little bit, it comes right off. And it looks pretty good. So that is Gundam marker or marker lining. Really, really easy to do. It's probably the most advised way to start panel lining, just because it's really easy to control, it's really easy to manage, and it's really easy to clean up. So you don't have to worry about any kind of crazy nonsense with the other stuff. So give me a second, we'll come back and talk about washes. Okay, now washes are a little bit different than your lining markers, as they're applied a different way, they're cleaned up a different way, and they function a slightly different way. Where the markers, you just apply it where you want it, you wipe it away, and it's pretty much done. The washes can work similarly, but they also can work quite differently. I'm just going to use this piece as an example. I'm also going to use another kit piece as an example. So the first one I want to talk about are enamel washes. These are stronger, more durable paint. Enamels take a really long time to dry, and they take a really long time to cure. They take a long time to cure, dry, and all kinds of stuff like that, but they dry very strong. Probably the strongest paint that you can get, besides you know, if you had like, I don't know, I guess like a urethane based paint. I don't know if one of those even exists. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to mix your own enamel washes if you want to do it that way. But they're also available pre-made. These are the Tamiya panel line accent colors. Just search for those on eBay or Google and you can find them. These come in 3 colors. It's gray, brown, and black, just like the Gundam markers. For the sake of the tutorial, we're just going to use the black. So what you need, get a couple toothpicks. Enamel cleans really well using lighter fluid, or enamel thinner, obviously. I don't really like to use enamel thinner because I think that it's a little bit strong and it does more damage to your plastic. So all you need is maybe a couple drops of enamel paint. Put your lid back on there, and what you're thinning it down with, and you just want to use your toothpick and just kind of work that in so it's really nice and it flows like ink almost. You take a really small brush. I like to prop this up so it sticks down to one side, You just touch it on the brush, touch the edge of your tray or whatever, and if you touch your piece, this might be either too thin or not thin enough. It's hard to tell if it's too thin. There we go. But when you touch your panel line, it will flow right through the entirety of the panel line. And you only have to touch it a couple times, and it will fill the entirety of the panel line. Now this is also referred to as like a pin wash, because you're applying it in just dots. You're just dotting it on, and all you have to clean up is like little spots, like if it were a pin, I guess it would be the easiest way to think about it. That's the way I think about it anyway. This might not be thin enough, actually. There we go. Now, the disadvantages to using a enamel wash is if you're not painting your kit, enamel paints have a tendency to react with plastic and kind of cause them to brittle. The lacquer, the thinner especially. So you want to be really careful if you're doing enamel washes. Like I said, they have a tendency to brittle your plastic. So I use, like I said before, the lighter fluid. You just put a little bit on a Q-tip or a piece of toilet paper, something like that, and you just kind of lightly go over it after a couple of minutes, and it'll leave a really nice clean panel line. Focus, there we go. So you can see where I missed the spot, but again, you just go over it a couple times. I'm trying to do this to the viewfinder, so bear with me. And it looks fine. Now, the pre-made washes work the exact same. The only difference is they're washed, or they're mixed up for you. So this will work a million times better. But they have a little applicator built onto them, and once again, all you have to do is just touch it, and it flows through your panel line. You just touch it a couple times. Put more on your applicator as needed, but you can see that it fills in really well. Put that back. And once again, the same way to clean it up. Just put some lighter fluid. I really prefer to work with lighter fluid because it doesn't affect your paint, it doesn't affect your surface as much. It's not as harsh on the plastic as enamel thinner. But again, you just wipe away the excess. You might go through a lot of Q-tips doing this, but the result is really nice. It's really even, and these are what I use the most. So there's the pre-made wash, and this is the wash that we made up ourselves. There's not a huge difference. This one's cleaner, obviously, because I took the time, or I didn't take the time to get the proper ratio down, because you have to work quickly when you mix your own, because lighter fluid evaporates really quickly, but you get the point. So give me 1 second, we'll switch over and talk about acrylic washes. Okay, and the last type of wash that I'm going to talk about is the acrylic washes. The ones I have here are black, light gray, dark gray, but they come in a ton of colors. Here's rust, so you can get a good rust effect out of this one. Here's brown, just regular gray, so there's 3 tones of gray. There's a whole bunch of them. Brown, dark, rust, light rust, Like I said, there's a ton of them. These can all be used to do different things in different ways. The first way we're going to talk about is the same way we've been doing washes. So you would apply this the same way you would your enamel washes. You just kind of put 1 or 2 drops in your tray. It's really, really thin paint. You don't have to do anything to it. And you just get some on your brush and zoom in. You just touch where you want the wash to go. And the same way, this doesn't seem to be flowing too well. Try a different brush. And then the same way that your other washes flow, this will go through all the recesses. So it doesn't quite flow the same way as enamels, but it does flow through. Now to clean this up, kind of like before, just get a Q-tip, put water on it. You can also use rubbing alcohol. Oh god, I just spilled water all over the floor. But you just wipe it away. And no matter how you do your washes, you're going to go through a lot of Q-tips. Same as before, you can alternatively use just a piece of toilet paper. Just kind of fold that up a little bit. Dab the corner and wipe away the excess. So you just find the way that works the best for you. As far as cleanup's concerned, you're going to get varied results. Either way, it just takes time, a little bit of patience. Now, the other way that you can use acrylic washes, I'm going to use rust here just to kind of show it off as an example, I guess. You only need, like I said, 1 or 2 drops. Where'd that brush go? Killing me. Clean off your brush, make sure there's no other crap on it. But what you can do now, God, I almost did it again. We're going to do it on the other skirt. You just take a little bit of this and you just basically paint it over the entire piece. And what this does is it will, and this works better over paint. It'll fill the line, but it'll also kind of dry over the piece, and it leaves kind of like a little bit of a residue, and it will affect the tone of the color that you're putting it over. This probably works best over paint and other pigment effects and stuff like that, but it works just the same. So that's the rust color, but you can do the same thing with the black. You can just kind of layer it on just like that, and then when you get it all on, use a smaller brush or a wet brush, move it around, clean it up until you're happy with it. And again, you just want a damp cloth to clean it up with, and it mostly comes away really easily, but it leaves that effect behind. So that is my tutorial on panel lining and washing, things like that. Sorry for the hasty tutorial. I just didn't want to have a super long video of me, like 25 minutes of me talking about panel lining, but I think you guys get the gist. The most annoying part of doing washes and stuff like that is cleanup, but if you take your time to do cleanup, it looks really good. They come out really clean. Again, depending on the size of the piece, you'll go through 2 or 3 Q-tips a piece, or a section, depending on what you're working on, how many panel lines you have, how much excess, stuff like that. Just a couple quick tips. I would recommend doing any kind of washes over a gloss coat before, like if you're painting, put down a gloss coat before you apply your washes, because applying directly over paint can obviously damage your paint. If you're painting with like acrylics, also lacquers kind of have a tendency to chip away a little bit when you use even lighter fluid. But it protects the coat underneath, and it protects the plastic underneath as well a little bit better if you have something under it. Just take your time. So gloss coats, and then you can put a top coat over top of it. Just give it plenty of time to set up and cure before you move on, because nothing's worse than spending the time to do a wash or anything like that and then going to put a top coat over it, and the top coat eats your